Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cogno Movement System. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello, hello in UK Health Radio Land. I'm Liz Larson, and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. And we're the duo that hosts the New Life Perspectives radio show here on the UK Health Radio Network. And we're the couple that we're not really a couple. We're business partners who created the Cogno Movement System. Always good to clarify that, right, Bill?
Well, I have a wife, and you have a husband, and we live in different states. So
yeah, we turn on each other. It's funny, people ask us that. Well, today we have a really special treat. So, audience, we are going to get to know someone really special along with you. This is our first time meeting our guest today, who is Heather Fleming. And she is the founder of Conscious Nutrition and a recovering perfectionist and extremist. I love that. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Liz and Bill. So wonderful to be here with you all and get to know you more. I got to download your book and listen to a couple of your radio shows yesterday. So I'm excited to share and to connect hearts.
Excellent. So tell us about, first of all, your journey. How did you get here? How did you find your way to this?
Wonderful. Great question. I love this question. I feel like I was a little sea turtle / mermaid that was born in Nebraska. And like landlocked, and I had horrible allergies and bad acne, and I was on antibiotics for like 15 years. And both my parents grew up on farms. So I'm like the first generation of non-farmed kids. So my parents grew up eating right from the land. And so food was my nemesis and also my pure joy and love, but I never felt good from food. So I went and studied nutritional science at the University of Nebraska. And this little sea turtle made her way to California and studied now more holistic and integrative approaches and was on my own spiritual path too. So I'm so grateful for the grounding and of Nebraska, but I'm also excited. I'm like a California / Nebraska girl. So that couldn't be quite very opposite at times.
Wow. So you taking antibiotics for 15 years.
Yes.
I am going to guess that your digestion just was not working. Is that true?
Correct. And when I got to left Nebraska, because I was allergic to corn and wheat and allergies, so which is, the mainstay there, the air. I even joke around that I was allergic to the air. When I got to California, my friend goes, "Hey, why don't you go see my nutritionist?" And I was just a plain nutritionist at that time, kind of I was doing the eat this, not that. That's what I was trained to do. I was, help people with dialysis. So it was like more of a university training. And so I went to a nutritionist when I got to San Diego. And after 3 days, I felt better than I felt in my whole life. And I went, I have to share this with the world. I have to help people shift their digestion. And it can be this simple, by just changing a few things. And I teach food combining as one principle. I help people also with their intuition, like what we're going to talk about. So yeah, after 3 days, my digestive health changed overnight. And then I became, of course, an advocate, maybe a little bit perfectionist extremist. And now I'm helping people just find their balance.
Okay, wait a second. I know around the globe right now, people are like, oh, wait a second. What'd she just say? 15 years of problems and 3 days and you changed your life.
Yep.
Tell us, back up for a second and tell us what happened in those 3 days. What did you learn in those 3 days and what changes did you make?
My old 20-something diet, my first job out of college was the Gold's Gym. So, which was awesome. I was a nutritionist at Gold's Gym and they were in love with their bodies. So I learned a lot from them, right? The extreme again. And so my old diet was, oatmeal, turkey sandwich with fruit, and dinner of like pasta and veggies. Well, that combination is okay, but very low nutrient dense, and was like a huge combustion in my gut health. So I took out all those foods and replaced them with like a little more higher density foods, higher quality density. And I went on a few supplements. The number one I went on was digestive enzymes. And those enzymes just shifted my whole gut flora overnight. And I went on like a rice protein powder to help heal my gut, glutamine, glutathione. So it was kind of a complex program that I went on, and my gut healed so quick. And then what I did is I took out all those usual suspect foods and I brought them in slowly and then recreated my eating plan instead of the all or none. Don't take, throw the baby out with I don't like that saying anymore. What's our new saying? I need to switch that one, but like that all or none type thing. So it's not that you can never eat oatmeal again, but I was eating it every day in the wrong combination. And that was back in my 20s. And I was doing that for probably a decade prior than that. So it was just constant digestive distress. I didn't know what it felt like to not have digestive distress.
I think most of the planet, well, at least the US is experiencing that right now. Everybody has allergies, leaky gut, everybody's trying to get back this gut health that was just a natural thing we all had before.
Correct.
Do you subscribe to the idea that the gut is like the second brain?
Yes.
If that's off, probably your thinking is off as well.
Yeah. And I think I love the vagus nerve. So it's like the highway between our gut and our brain too. So they're always communicating, but sometimes we're thinking without feeling. And then we're missing like, oh, I just needed that apple, 2 days ago, but now I'm all confused and apples are bad because I'm on the carnivore diet. Like all these extreme diets are making me like, they're stressing me out a little because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not giving my clients what they don't need, but not giving them too much too. So
yeah, I have concerns about that one too. I know some people who are doing it.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that just intuitively and energetically feeling into that feels like a gut bomb. And yet they say they feel better than they've ever felt. And I wonder if it's strictly the elimination diet part of it, where they've eliminated everything else that's creating inflammation and the body's only having to deal with this one source.
Correct. And when we do anything extreme, if you've been malnourished for so long, their neurotransmitters are maybe getting more protein. So at first, yes, but then I get worried that we're, making fruit and vegetables bad. I get a little nervous about that. And when we were hunters and gatherers, there was times we did only have meat and we didn't have vegetables or fruit because it was out of season too, depending on where you live. So some cultures may thrive, some constitutions, some blood types may thrive on that. But I get worried when we try to outthink it instead of tune in and feel it. That's what I get worried about.
Yeah. I've heard that there are diet plans, which sound interesting to me, where it's seasonal. In the wintertime, you would eat a lower carb meat diet.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, you would eat, fruit and vegetables. Yeah. That kind of makes sense in a way. But I think there's not one for all. It seems like every individual needs something different. And we were talking off camera, something that's really exciting to me. You were talking about a way that people can see, what does your body need right now? What's that all about?
Wonderful. I call it your feel your meal process. And it's just taking a pause. Like, let's use it a restaurant, for example. We're at the restaurant and the menu comes to us. We all kind of are calm and relaxed. We're not cooking. We're not cleaning. We're not doing the dishes. We're just relaxed and we're receiving. And you may think you were going to get, the fish, and all of a sudden you're relaxed and then the lamb jumps out at you and you just get really happy and you start to smile. You're like, oh, wow. And where did that come from? Did that come from a logical thing? No, you weren't logically going, I should eat lamb. So I have everyone it's the first step is take 5 deep breaths. So we relax into our parasympathetic nervous system. And then we tune into our senses. So the simplest one is hot or cold. So if I go and make a salad and I really wish I would have had a soup, I'm grouchy. Like I think I should eat a salad, but then you force yourself to eat a salad and you're grouchy and you feel bloated and you don't feel good. Well, because you were thinking, not feeling. So step 1 is take 5 deep breaths. Step 2 is tune into your senses. So hot, cold, and then sweet or savory. So sweet is, wow, this morning I kind of want something sweet. You know what? I'm going to have banana, gluten-free banana pancakes, or I'm going to do a smoothie, or depending on if you wanted the hot or cold. So that's helping your senses lead and your body lead. And then savory is everything opposite than sweet. Usually salty, rich, like if you go and have a piece of fruit and you wish you would have had chicken sausage, that would be the opposite. So in Chinese medicine, yin or yang are balanced. So it's take 5 deep breaths, tune in to your senses, hot, cold, sweet, savory, number 2. And number 3 is my program. I have 4 different meal types that I have you rotate. That's it. There are all these diets out there. I love the Mediterranean diet. I love, what's the Blue Zones diet? Like there's all these gorgeous programs out there, but every day you're different. We're different. Like maybe you had an extra protein yesterday and today you don't. You need extra vegetables or a piece of fruit. So if we learn to just do little baby shifts like that, our bloating will most likely go away. Our inflammation will be reduced. We'll actually be more satisfied because we trust ourselves instead of that second guessing game. Oh, I should have ate this. I should have ate that. That's exhausting. And I spent way too many decades doing it. Now I just learn to listen and I help people to learn to listen. Yeah.
Wow. You and me both, and probably most of the women, I don't know how many men. Bill McKenna always shares that he's a man, he just eats whatever he wants,
Lucky man.
I know. But, it's true. I mean, that is so stressful, figuring out what should I eat? Am I supposed to be eating all this protein? But really, I'm craving a piece of fruit. So I want to back you up in this. I have the best story. Yeah. My daughter and I had listened to this book, and it was about muscle testing. So kinesiology out there, if anybody knows about this. And it was using the kind of muscle testing where you test your balance. Very simple. In my case, yes is a lean forward, and the body just does it.
Isn't that cool?
Or a lean back. So we were in Portland. We were on a little mini vacation. I think we were wedding dress shopping for, I don't know, I don't remember. And we decided to do this thing. Our rules were anything we ate, we had to test for.
Awesome.
For the weekend. And in this thing, you would kind of like look at the menu or look at what's in a case and ask the body each thing. So that's what we did. And we were at this place called Powell's City of Books in Portland. It's like heaven on earth, literally a city of books. They have this beautiful case. Now my daughter's doing her testing. Takes some time. That's a little annoying. And her body says, like, hell yes, to a chocolate croissant. Well, number 1, she doesn't like chocolate. Wow. And 2, she doesn't like croissants. So this is the first meal of this plan we're doing. So she goes for it. She gets the croissant. She said the first bite, it was like heaven. It was the best thing she ever ate. And then we always say, oh, that was a low energy meal or that was a high energy meal because, it'll drain you right after. And she's like, wow, I feel amazing. So we did this for every meal. I mean, it was eating out, all weekend long. We ate things we would never eat. Also, it sort of gave the body permission to eat things we would have loved to eat, but wouldn't because it's not on the diet, like a bowl of udon noodles, By the end of that weekend, we were flying. We both had so much energy. We felt so good. Now, we both still do it, but do we do it for every meal? No, because it takes time. But I can attest to what you're saying. The body does know what you need. And so one thing I do with that is I test my supplements every day. Do I want this and how much? And that makes a big difference too.
And it just helps us like be the help with the dial. Like we're not just like, oh, I'm suffering in my own life. I have to take 2 vitamins twice a day. No, we're empowered and we're like, you know what? I think I don't need this one today. I think I need extra of this one. But I love your story. And just the simplest one, croissants are glucose. Our bodies run on glucose. And I have been there and done it. And when we're not in mental judgment, then we're more aligned. So we're at homeostasis. So I call it a cascade of hormones. If I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't eat that cascade of hormones leaves our pituitary and pineal gland, comes cascading down. What's that do to our whole body? Wrecks it. So if we're like, oh, I shouldn't have ate the croissant, now you're in fight or flight with something you ate that you thought was okay or not okay. And like, look at that war. You're in just a constant war. And I lived that war. I used to teach cleanses and resets. I just don't want anyone to live that war anymore. It's just a consistent connection with ourselves.
Actually, on that note,
yeah,
you hit it on the nose. Food for most women, especially, I don't know how many men. I think there are a considerable amount of men now who are doing like, being body conscious.
Yeah.
We're at war with food. So it's time for us to take our break. We'll hear from the UK Health Radio Network, our sponsors. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about this idea of conscious nutrition and what does being at war do to us. So we'll be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
We ended the last conversation about being at war with food. And I just want to ask Bill real quick before Heather jumps in on that. Bill, how do you feel about that for men? Are men at war with food like women are?
Gosh, I would say that it's not to the extent that that women are, but certainly, especially in the past few decades, that's become a lot more commonplace. And that kind of leads me to a really interesting thing that happened for Liz and myself. I don't know, several years ago, we made an earth-shattering discovery about being at war. And this discovery started when I was in the grocery store. I was pushing my grocery cart. And, in the United States, because this is a global show, but in the United States, when you go to check out, your groceries, there's all of the magazines, these Cosmopolitan, Shape magazine, all these different magazines. And I look over at these magazines, and all of the magazines said, get your beach body now. Try the grapefruit diet, try the spinach diet, get your, and it was all these things that were women's magazines that were focused around eating and their body. And I was shocked as a man because, as Liz says, I was at the time, I was like, hamburger, yes, cheese, but put that on there and you get the bacon. Does it taste good? Is it salty? If it tastes good, I'm going to eat it. I don't think about beach body or calories or anything. Just, am I hungry and does that look good? And then I'd eat it, I'll take that. But, I was shocked and I was like, oh my God, these women are suffering, and there's so much focus around food and that sort of thing. And it was in an instant, literally an instant, that the thought came in, everybody has it 100% wrong. And what I mean by that is the thought was, we had developed this modality called cogno movement. It's like a cognitive movement. And you would focus on something like, let's say, grief, guilt, whatever, and you do these certain movements and poof, that feeling was gone. Now, my thought was, everybody is trying to use willpower or at war with food in order to try to alleviate this, in my life. I should not have the pizza. And, and you're overwhelmed with the pizza or fill in the blank, chocolate cake. And they would try to, with their willpower, don't feel that way. Well, what I thought in that instant was, let yourself feel it. Let yourself enjoy the chocolate cake, enjoy the pizza, and do this exercise, these movements, while enjoying it. And oh my God, we went off and we tested it. The very first one was Coca-Cola. Now this woman, we basically said, listen, I want you to just enjoy the Coca-Cola. And how do you like it? Well, I like it in a thick glass with ice and Mexican food, right? I grew up next to the Mexican border. I'm like, I can relate. Yes, sir. What goes with Mexican food? Coca-Cola. Well, anyway, okay, I want you to imagine you're enjoying it. And it's the thick glass and the ice, and just enjoy it. And then we did the cognitive movement exercise. And within a few minutes, she had this sensation in her belly button. And then a few minutes later, it moved right to her throat. And then a few minutes later, poof, it was gone. And that was it. I mean, she literally, after the process, she said she just had absolutely no desire for the Coca-Cola anymore. Not only that, but when she went to drink it, she said it tasted metallic. And anyway, that was the very first one. And then Liz, oh my God, Liz, I mean, her stories abound. I mean, they literally will make you laugh so hard because, there was, Liz did a session. You got to tell the session with one session that you did there. I think it was, I can't remember what it was, but what I do remember is the look on the face afterwards. But Liz?
There's just so many. What happens is we have a person, really enjoy the food. A lot of times have it there in front of them, and then offer it them at the end. And one of our funniest was a gal who was obsessed with one of our practitioners with Parmesan cheese. And she was so embarrassed because she would eat it with a spoon imagine eating Parmesan cheese and her kids would get so mad because they'd have spaghetti and there'd be no Parmesan cheese. So during one of our practitioner programs, she was willing to do, as an example, this Parmesan cheese. And in the last round, we had her literally scoop it. And you see her start to purse her lips and start to pull her head back like, no, thank you. And since then, she said a jar of Parmesan can last months and months. Yeah. So, Heather, we started this conversation about being at war. How important is it to stop the war?
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And what about the war with food and inflammation,
Yeah. Well, what I would love to hear your answer on this, but what pops in my head when you said the woman felt it in her belly button and then her throat, my first gut feeling was repressed shame and guilt around her drinking Coca-Cola or whatever, that emotion actually got to move out of the cells. Is that what that's what my hunch is.
Yeah, it really well could be.
Yeah.
Some people will actually see where it started. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you remember, Bill, if that person saw where it started?
I on that particular session, I don't remember, but subsequent to that, almost every session goes something like this. I had a woman in, she was on the Baltic Sea in, I think it was Germany, right? And she could not stop eating French fries. This is a grown woman, middle-aged woman, and one of our practitioners in Germany had this woman in, and I came in through Zoom, and it was she literally, it was just the French fry situation been going on all of her life, cannot control it, right? And so we had her in, and we had her to bring the French fries,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And during the session, one of the things that happens is based upon their eye position in the exercise, they are able to see what was the original event. Now, in hers was in her heart, and she was and so she had the sensation in her heart, and when she moved her eyes to a certain position, all of a sudden she saw herself as a little girl. She was only 7 years old. She's on the Baltic Sea with her father. And the seagulls are there and squawking, and they've got the French fries, and it's just her and him enjoying French fries together. And so what we understood, and then this is, like I say, every time people get to know, oh my God, it was just, I love my dad. And French fries. The way this works is really incredible. We're able to piece it together from ancient yogis, right? These masters. The phenomenon is that for all of us, we live our life through our physical sense, the sense of smell, taste, touch, hearing. If we were absent those, we would not have a life experience. Imagine you couldn't smell, touch, taste, hear, see. Well, so this is one half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, how am I feeling? Now, what the yogis had figured out long ago was, I have a feeling, and then I look to the external world for the cause. How do I do that? It's through my senses. So here it is. I feel love and comfort with my dad. Ah, yes, French fries. I've bound the French fry to the love. So every time I don't feel good, it's like French fry equals love.
What's something to help me feel okay?
So I just want to feel okay. I just want to feel okay.
So with the Parmesan cheese, it went back to, that was a luxury in a poor home.
Yep, there you have it.
And it's not logical. It's like you said, it's not a thinking thing.
It would be way easier if it was.
Wouldn't it be? It does not make sense to spoon Parmesan cheese out of the thing. Oh. But for her, it was, if I can open that fridge and take a spoon of Parmesan, I'm in full luxury. I have enough. Again, her logical mind was not saying that. That didn't make sense. But there was an emotional, neurological driver.
Yep.
So take us on a little bit more about that. This war with food. I shouldn't.
Yep.
Adding to the neurological distress. How important is it?
So let's say we're not feeling okay, using the beautiful woman with the French fry. There's a longing, there's a loss. So all day she's like, I'm not feeling okay. So this French fry is going to put that Band-Aid on it. But her nervous system's like, actually, no, I just need 90 seconds to feel the emotion of loss or of pain or of suffering. But nope, we want to cover it up with the French fry. So the constant war is disconnect, looking to consume. So you said it with the yogis. They're feeling something and they looked outside themselves to see what's going on. So we're feeling disconnected, because if we're feeling connected, we're not going to go look for anything. So we're not going to consume more. So why are all the magazines right there at the checkout station? Making us consume more. I can even feel it. I'm living in an RV, so I can't consume a lot. And I'm probably, my higher self is intentionally doing this because I do want my nervous system to find its equilibrium instead of like, I don't feel okay. Well, I'm just going to go and buy this, or I'm just going to go get this. So with food, you made me think of this amazing client of mine. She was a police officer. And when she got to me, she was retired for about 10 years. And she was like, I just want to lose X amount of weight. So we were doing all the nutrition stuff, my fun food combining, tools to give people a feeling of safety and of support. And every night at 11 o'clock, she would go and just raid the refrigerator. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. And we're like working together for 2 weeks and she's beating herself up. And so I'm like, nope, that's number one rule. We can't beat ourselves up. But I was like, what is going on? And all of a sudden I go, hey, what shift did you work when you were a police officer? The night shift. She rushed to Starbucks before they closed and got a scone and a latte every night at 10 or 11. Her nervous system, look at how much stress, adrenaline. And she was like in the police station as a female in San Diego doing like special units. So like her stress, what would her nervous system be at that level? Here, like, I'm way up high. And then she goes and puts, a coffee, caffeine, and a sugar on there. Why wouldn't her blood sugar spike 10 years later at the exact same time? So what we did is we started doing a snack at like 8 or 9 to kind of calm the nervous system instead of like willpowering. No, that's just like, that's the opposite because that's disconnect still. So we kind of trained the body. So we did a snack between 8 or 9 and it calmed down. Then all of a sudden it went away. Just like we felt the feeling. She got to feel the loss. It's usually fear, loss, shame, guilt. What else is in there? Blame, some denser emotions. That's what we're harboring in the body. And so when we go to feel those feel scary. So we jump in the head to go like, well, I should go eat cheese. And cheese is serotonin. It has chemicals in it to give us a high. So I wrote a little cute cravings book, but I give it away free in my program. And it's the physical and emotional of what cravings mean. So we can look at them at a deeper level. And doing your cognitive movement and seeing what's going on in their past, it's always linked to an emotion or a feeling or an event. I have one. Yeah, go ahead.
We actually boil it down to the limbic system, fight or flight, threat assessment.
I agree.
So we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'd love to hear that next story. So UK Health Radio, take it away.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Okay, so Heather Fleming, Conscious Nutrition, was about to tell us another story about the nervous system, what we would call fight or flight, the limbic system in an automated response, and eating. Go ahead, Heather.
I love that. I just thought of 2 stories now. I posted a picture of like a cookie at a seminar. And before I posted it, I had everyone just kind of relax their nervous system. So I had them do their 5 deep breaths. Then I posted told them to catch what the first thought is that comes into their mind when I post the cookie. And I would say 80% of them had judgment about this fake cookie up there. So lovely Bill doesn't have a lot of judgment around food. That's why he has such a lighthearted relationship. I was born with judgment around food. Like, oh, that makes my stomach hurt. Oh, that doesn't make me feel good. I'm scared. Like I was in fear mode. So this cookie, 80% of the people had a fear response to a posted cookie up there. One was like, remember that her mom or an aunt said, you're a little piggy if you keep eating. One remembered that thought, and she had like an emotional, like a movement of emotion. And she looked like 10 years younger in like 5 minutes by just moving that memory out of her body, right? So the nervous system has storing it all for us in our brain and our body, but we're probably trying to control it from our mind versus she just let that feeling come up. So the little piggy. and she got to like really heal that. And I had one about a donut. Like, even when we say the word donut, you can watch some people's energy be like, yeah, woohoo, donut. And some people are like, oh, I don't eat that. I'm like too self-righteous. Oh, I don't eat that. I don't do that. Like that type of thing. So when I started to retrain my nervous system from being an all or none perfectionist nutritionist, I let go of the judgment on everything. I went, you know what? Every day I'm going to wake up with a clean slate, and pizza's not bad. Donuts aren't bad. I'm not going to expend so much energy labeling all that bad. And I'm not kidding. 90% of what I ate was wonderful. And then when I had the donut, I tuned in. I go, ooh, does my body or mind say yes? So it was Easter it was Easter Sunday. And I grew up back in Nebraska as a Lutheran, and we'd go get a donut after Easter Sunday. So I was in LA visiting friends, and I woke up wanting a donut. I was like, well, I'm not really hungry for a donut, but it kept nagging at me. So I'm like, I don't even know where a donut store is. Finally, it's like been an hour. I'm like, fine, I'm just going to go get a donut because I'm practicing, this release and letting go. Then all of a sudden my heart felt, actually, you just want to call your mom. And that's all I wanted to do. So I linked the donut, and then I think I had a glass of champagne instead of a donut and talked to her. But like I linked the feeling of pleasure and calling and emotion. But I was like, why am I craving a donut? And then right when I grabbed the keys, I got the feeling to call my mom. So that was it. So that's why I don't want us to sit there and mentally judge when there's something else that our bodies are trying to relay to us, that you may want to donut with your friends, next week and go make a play date about it. But you don't maybe want to eat it by yourself. So instead of judging the information, try to, you utilize it or play with it, be a little more lighthearted with it. Otherwise you're in fight or flight all the time. Like, this is bad. That's bad. This is bad.
Yeah. It's so interesting what food does for us individually. Mm-hmm. We tell a story in our book, Suffering is Optional, free download, by the way, guys, as well, about a person whose life was ruined over popsicle. Oh. Literally ruined at 4 years old over a popsicle. The nervous system does weird things associated with food, and whether or not we're loved, whether or not we're cared for, whether or not we're wealthy, fat, skinny, accepted, unaccepted. It's a crazy thing that the nervous system does around food, and the ability to be able to recognize it is the biggest gift on the planet. Your work and our work shares that, where we go to what's active in the body. What is active in the body? So you would say, how does it feel? But what we really mean is, what's the sensation? Is it a heavy sensation? Is it a light sensation? Did your stomach just clamp up? Did your throat just feel strangled? Do you feel anxiety? And then you'll know, okay, there's something else there. It's not about whether this food is good for me or bad for me. Really, in real life, it's just the judgment that the nervous system is making on it.
Correct.
Is it a threat or not? And for that 4-year-old, for the rest of her life, that meant my mom loves someone else more than me. Mm-hmm. That's what it meant. Mm-hmm. So they're hidden. It's hidden, and it's hidden in the places that we have sensation in the body, not this logical mind piece. So would you take everybody back through the steps again that you were talking about?
So you're getting ready you feel your stomach growl, and you're like, oh wow, I'm hungry. So instead of judging it, I would say 90% of people I work with judge it, because they go straight to, oh no, here it comes again. I have to figure out what to eat. Like, that's why they call me. What should I eat? If I got paid a penny, we would have a way bigger RV for everyone that says, what should I eat? So we get the hunger feeling, and we're sitting there, we're all relaxed. We take 5 deep breaths. We calm our nervous system down so it doesn't go into fight or flight. Oh, great, I have to eat. We calm it down as best as we can to parasympathetic. Sometimes it might take longer. It's taken me sometimes like 20 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a tea first. I'm going to go take the dog for a walk first, because I'm like feeling a little bit of the battle, the inner war. So I know the war is, I'm disconnected with myself, and I'm wanting to fix it, grab something, be unconscious and just eat whatever. which cool here and there, but if it's a consistent thing, it's going to start, you're going to start feeling compromises in your health, right? So we take the 5 deep breaths, and then we go, ooh, I put my hand on my heart sometimes too. You can do heart or gut, even at a restaurant. No one will really notice. You can just kind of place it there softly. Do I want hot or cold, sweet or savory? And that's you giving your body permission to give you information. Like, we've calmed our mind so we can receive information from our body. So we're like, okay, what do I want? I'm kind of hungry. Hot, savory. I want hot, savory. So I'm like, oh, I get to cook. I'm going to cook something. Oh, wait, I have leftovers. That's exactly what I wanted. I didn't even know I had leftovers in there. There'll be times that my nervous system anticipates my needs, and I'll buy something and I'll be like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then 3 days later, it's exactly what I wanted. And that's because I'm in the state of flow and not fighting and flighting and judging and shoulding and controlling my food anymore, which I did for decades. And that's why I still teach nutrition, because I don't want people to live like that anymore. You can do little short-term experiments if you want to try like a program, but for long-term, this is the deepest connection. This is you doing muscle testing on yourself all day and getting back into a connected feeling. So 5 deep breaths, hot or cold, sweet or savory. And then I have the 4 different meal types. So one's like kind of like paleo, one's kind of like Mediterranean, one's more vegetable based, one's more healthy fat based, and one's like just eat whatever. So I have 4 different cute little meal types that people go, you know what? Because sometimes we go straight into autopilot. I'm going to do meat and starch, because most of us grew up with meat and starch on our plate. And then they're like, but sometimes over time that can compromise your digestive tract. So I'm like, which one are you craving more? You know what? I'm actually not craving meat. I really want I had cauliflower pasta with, pesto the other night, because I was like, you know what? I don't want protein. I don't really want starch. I kind of want it in the middle. So our autopilot sometimes isn't always supporting us because it's our mind. So I have people kind of just play with the 4 different meal types, which is my program. And then, and just keep seeing how you feel after, seeing what comes up. Because it's usually an old fear, like, oh, if I don't eat enough now, I'm going to be hungry later and I don't trust myself and I'm going to gorge. Like, that old programming has nothing to do with the present moment. That's fear in your nervous system. And then you're putting yourself in fight or flight, and you're not even, which isn't even true, because you're not even hungry. So,
oh my gosh, I was raised like that. My mom had hypoglycemia. She was really, really sick. And she learned how to eat a hypoglycemic diet, or a diabetic diet. For those of you who do that, it's a certain amount of fat, certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs. I lived like that. Like, it was the absolute golden rule. Like, and it's almost like a religion to break out of that paradigm. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess it does help you moderate what you eat, but maybe that's not it, So there was a lot of stress for me around that. Like, oh, if my body literally just wants some rice and vegetables right now,
nope,
okay.
Can't have it. Yeah. But with your mom's program,
I would freak out. Because there's not enough protein. There's too many carbs. What if my blood sugar crashes? You know what's funny? My mom had hypoglycemia, so did everyone else in the family. Yep. When I realized that's not necessarily true,
no,
I don't have that issue at all. Haven't had it for years. Well, I'm pretty good at knowing when I need to eat. My blood sugar's a little low. Yeah. But I don't have hypoglycemia. But my neurological driver was, this is what we do. This is what our clan does. This is how we stay healthy. Only we weren't staying healthy. Oh. It's a chronic fight, like that war we were talking about, with food. And then later on, I started to visit my family in Sicily. Mm-hmm. Typical Italian family. They eat a coffee and a scone or brioche for breakfast. Yeah. They eat pasta and vegetables at lunch, maybe a little cheese. And at dinner, they have pasta with some protein. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what they have every day. And most of them are quite thin and relatively healthy. And there is no fight about food. That's what you eat. and they enjoy it. In fact, they often talk about cooking and other meals, and they laugh. It's the only place, you're at an Italian table if you're eating and talking about the next meal.
Yeah, cool. That's cool.
So that was a long time ago, but it made me start to think, wait a minute. If they're doing this, and on average, they're a whole lot less fat than we Americans, something about what I've learned is not accurate.
Their pleasure part of their brain is connected to their gut. So their gut, like that highway is not in discord. They're not in disconnect. They're like, this highway is accepting all the food we eat. So we absorb all of our nutrition in our small intestine. So if we're clamped up, like right under our heart, we're clamped up and we're in war, we're not absorbing nutrients, and then we become toxic. That's all nutrition is malnourishment or toxicity. And you're one or the other. Yeah, you need nourishment to release toxins. Well, their body's receiving nourishment and pleasure all day and connection, that there's no room for the toxic buildup or no room for malnourishment.
Yeah, no, they have rules about, what kind of bread you can eat when. It looks exactly the same to me, but this one's for breakfast. One's for dinner. And you know what? I really started to look. I started to notice, what's the difference that makes the difference here? And in their grocery stores, they were much smaller.
Yeah.
They did not have a whole aisle of chips.
And cereal.
Their cereal, candy. They had a couple of little stands here or there. But what they had is a whole lot of fresh food. Now that is starting to change. But they weren't in this position of craving all this non-nutritive food. There just wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go out in the evening, 10 o'clock at night. So here's your intermittent fasting thrown out the window. After dinner, it's hot during the day. Let's go out at 10 o'clock at night, literally, and let's get a gelato.
Yeah.
Or a cannoli. And everyone's joyful about it. There's not like, oh no, I'm on a special diet.
Yeah.
A little more now, that is true. But it wasn't. And so I'm looking at these people thinking, okay, something is not right about the way we've learned to eat. So that helped me shift my ideas.
I would say the worst started with us doing processed foods. And then we thought, oh, low fat, non-fat. Okay, high fat, no fat. Like it just kept swinging back and forth. So it just shook up like our true north. And Italy hasn't shook up their true north. They're like, we're Italians. We're going to just stick with our lane and what works. Greece, they stick in their lane with what works. My parents felt great when they lived on the farm. They stuck in their lane. And then all of a sudden we went to, I remember when our family tried, my dad drove the dairy truck back in the day. And we tried to go to non-fat milk, and we all looked like, in like a week, we looked green. Like it was like toxic to our body. Like we were like, no way, we can't. So we started to follow what doctors were saying. Eat oatmeal every day. Well, that doesn't work for everybody. Like it throws me off. I love oatmeal, but I can't eat it every day, but can't eat eggs every day. So we created this crazy confusion when our lane is like, I bet some of your family members some days go, you know what? I'm not going to do pasta today. I'm going to have something different. Like there might be one day a week that they kind of just maybe like just tweak it. Not even a radical change, just a teeny tweak. But that's because of their connection and their joy, and that they figured out what works.
Yeah, what they'll do is they go to a restaurant. And my family's from Sicily. So they'll have something called frutti di mare. And it's a plate of shrimp and mussels, and it's just seafood. And they'll rarely have pasta with it because they can do that at home. Or they'll have spada, or in English it's swordfish, right? So they'll generally, that's their time that they go and have something,
Most cultures do food combining. Like most cultures have like, oh, we don't do this with this, we do this. And we all personally have it too. Like, ooh, I'm not going to have an apple with another banana. Like that doesn't quite sound right. Like that's not great food combining. So all food combining is finding out your balance so you absorb nutrition better and you detoxify better. That's it. It's just finding out what works for you, how, like with vegetables and fruit. Some people can do great with, extra fruit. Some people can do great with extra vegetables or extra protein. So all food combining is just learning what food groups go best in your system. That's it.
That's great. So tell everybody how they could actually find out more about you and actually work with you.
Thank you. I'm consciousnutrition.com. My friend gave me that domain name like 15 years ago, and I've been growing up together with Conscious Nutrition. I felt like it was too big at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is too big of shoes to fill. But now I talk about I always wanted to be a nervous system nutritionist, but it wasn't sexy enough for marketing. So I call myself Conscious Nutrition, and you can just find me at consciousnutrition.com. I do lots of blogs and videos. I have an upcoming program starting at the end of the month, or you can work with me anytime, but I'm doing a live program where it's called Steps to Increase Your Nutrition Intuition. And it's for 40 days practicing this feel your meal process and trying the different food meal types and seeing what works for you. I'm not your guru. I can't do muscle testing for you every meal. You got to figure out yourself. I'm here to be the happiest cheerleader, because when I found my joy and lighthearted relationship with food, I just can't not share it. So.
Oh, that's great. Everybody around the globe, you work through Zoom?
Yes, all Zoom. Yep. Yep.
I gotta say, when I look for a coach, a counselor, somebody to help me, I look for somebody who's lived it. And Heather has physically lived the pain, and she has healed herself. This is the woman you want. Reach out to her. She can help you. She understands. So thank you all. Thank you for coming on, and we look forward to having you on again.
Oh, thank you, Bill and Liz.
Yeah, it really sounds like a beautiful program. I love the idea that it's not what we hear, go full carnivore, go full vegan, you have to do it. They all physically feel to me like an assault on the body, on the nervous system, on the mind, more restriction, more weird thinking. I'm all for, I do know there are some things like juicing plans that people do for medical, for a period of time.
Correct.
There's a real reason, detoxification, but I'm talking about lifestyle plans. This sounds so much softer and more graceful and intuitively right for a nervous system. It fits you. It's not something that someone else has contrived and then you're going to try to force your system into it. So for me, that sounds really, really beautiful. So we need to take a quick break. So UK Health Radio, take it away.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Okay, so I always tell on myself when we're talking, and this is the craving stories. I have the craziest stories. I got whammied once watching someone else's session.
Ooh.
Bill was leading a chocolate chip session. It was when we were first doing Craving Set via Zoom. So this guy, I don't know where he was chocolate chips. And we watched very carefully what the nervous system is doing. So I remember it was a little dark. Do you remember this guy, Bill, the session?
Oh, yeah. We had one of these, I believe it was like one of our free events. We have a free event once every few weeks. We call it Cogno Hour. And then people come on and we will do actual live sessions of Cogno movement to help with whatever the issue, guilt, grief, anger, shame, whatever may, or, helping them to get what they want in their life. But this particular day was focused around cravings. So we had, just started walking through doing the exercise. Chocolate chip cookies was his thing. He said, I can't keep from eating. And, growing up in the United States, right? Tall house chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. That was it.
My mouth just watered a little.
Yeah, right.
Right? Right? I mean, that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just straight up love.
Yep.
Totally. Like, who cooks the chocolate chip cookies? And who, it's you cook them with your mom, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a very
amazing.
It's an emotional thing. I remember my daughter, when she was, it was funny as hell. She was, I don't know, maybe less than 2 years old, 1.5 or so, could barely talk, 1.5. And she's literally sitting up on the counter, and I'm making first batch of chocolate chip cookies with her. And I'm like, okay, we put in this and we mix it and we're doing it together. And then she grabs, it was so funny. Well, my head's kind of turned, and she got 2 fingers right in the thing, and she reaches in and the cookie dough, and she puts it in her mouth, and she's, oh, this is the first time I couldn't even believe she came up with this. Oh, that's delicious. Delicious before. It says I
oh, that was awesome.
Oh, that's delicious.
It's delicious. So we've got this guy on camera.
Yeah.
We're learning how to do cognitive movement remotely, because before that was very physical and in person. And so Bill's leading, and I'm watching very carefully to see how his neurology is changing.
Okay.
Because at that time, cool. Bill's leading the session, but he's not aware of being able to do both at the same time, because we just didn't know how this thing was going to work. So I'm doing the job of watching neurologically this guy shift. So it works great. I don't remember the feedback, but he was at a 0. We call it neutral.
Cool.
On chocolate chip cookies. Had him there in the house, I think. You went to bite one. No interest. No good. Okay, fine. So I don't keep chocolate chip cookies in my house because I have an excuse to nibble on them. I could have ice cream in the house, won't touch it. I could have cake, pie, nothing, candy, forget it. But cookies, they can't live in my house, so I don't buy them. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't buy them. So there was this place that I think it's called Crumble, came into the town nearby us. My daughter's like, you got to go. It's amazing. So we go. Everything smells amazing. There's these big, fat, juicy chocolate chip cookies. Looked fantastic. We buy some. I take a bite and I'm like, that doesn't taste like anything. And she's like, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the smell of it should have tasted vanilla-y and chocolate and yummy. It tasted like nothing.
Wow.
I'm like, well, I dodged that bullet. Not going to be going to that place again. I never have. I never went back. But I was afraid because those were some dang good looking cookies.
Yeah.
I don't think anything about it. Maybe a few months later go by and I make cookies for my son. And I would hide stuff in them like chickpeas and almond flour and for nutrition. They're really good. And a couple of days passed and they were on the counter and I realized I hadn't even tasted the dough and I hadn't had a bite of the cookies. So I said to my son, hey, are these any good? He's like, oh my gosh, Mom, those are the best cookies you ever made. So I tasted it and again, nothing, like cardboard. And that session came back in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, dang it, I got whammied.
Yeah, whammied. I love that.
Right.
Okay.
But what was interesting about it is, things like golden Oreos couldn't live in my house. butter cookies. We make these Italian cookies. And what's interesting is now they don't have much interest for me either.
Yeah.
They don't taste bad, but I don't have a driver.
Yep. The operating system is what I got. That's what I totally got. Was I even did with my program. I have, how many do I have? Five different food relationship types. One's rebeller. So I'm even feeling my rebeller be sad that I would become like that I would be sad that I don't have that connection to chocolate chip cookies. And I'm actually thinking of some of my clients like, but that was something that was important to me. So there's rebel, number, comforter, connector, and guilter. So our operating system is part. So it sounds like you moved something in your operating system around whatever that cookie was you were receiving from that cookie. So with nutrition, I always felt like it's deeper. It's our nervous system. So I have little mantras for each each food relationship type, but I totally was with you. I'm like, I'm rebel. Obviously I always say I'm a rebel with the cause. But my rebel started to act up like, oh, I'm sad if I become that because I'm rebelling against the neutral too. So, which is just not
I think that's why what we do is so effective is we say, enjoy it, love it.
Exactly.
Tell us all about, you're in it. Like you are, I always say it's so good. You could bathe yourself in it.
Yeah, totally.
We're bathing in it. So I'll tell another on myself. We have these practitioner trainings and we do examples. So somebody has to volunteer to delete a craving. Well, our senior practitioners come back again and again through training and they're like, I'm out because I know I've deleted everything I want. They don't want to take one more of their favorite things.
That's what I was doing too. I was like,
right?
Don't take that away.
So the ones they choose have been significant and nothing happens in a vacuum, right? When you change one of these things, other things in your life change because you're changing a massive neurological driver. It's not insignificant. Okay. So, I'm the trainer in this session. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And there were these chips. They were the kettle wavy salt and pepper chips. And the first time I'd had them was at my aunt's. And my aunt is in Detroit, Italian aunt, she's a real foodie, food gourmet. And these were like hoity-toity chips, to me. So every so often I would buy them and I would put them on the counter while I'm cooking dinner. We know better. We don't eat chips while we cook dinner. So I'd munch these chips. Now, I would not call it a craving, but I liked them. And I also didn't need the extra calories, right? Okay. So this is what I choose. I choose these chips. I'm like, okay. But what happened is I must be really sensitive to this particular set, the craving set, is I don't even want to look at those in the store. I avoid literally with my eyes that rack. I'm like, ugh, because I overdid it and it actually makes me a little nauseous. That particular bag of chips today smells like fish to me. And I don't like fish.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is I don't know what neurological driver was a part of that because I didn't think it was a big deal in my life.
Yeah.
But it was something I would do that I knew wasn't really good for me.
Connection to your aunt, to the feminine in your family. Like that's what pops into my head. Like we're looking for deeper connection. So the chip might have been a quick fix to just feel that deeper connection versus like when I wanted the donut, it was really the phone call. I was like, oh, that's what I wanted. So yeah, that's what pops into my head. Just a deeper.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. I think the thing that's amazing is that the why really doesn't matter once it's gone.
No. Correct. Yeah, I agree.
Once it's gone.
Totally agree.
One of our practitioners she's a brand new practitioner out of the UK. And the craving set's real simple. She did chocolate. And what she discovered is her parents said, you have to eat your food and then you could have a sweet. It was a good thing.
Yeah.
But she was like rushing through her meals to get to the sweet. But remember Bill, she was saying she had the whole refrigerator full of chocolate.
Yeah, the entire thing, she said her entire refrigerator is filled with chocolate.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, the critical part that Liz just brought up was the stuffing, like the wolfing down.
Wolfing down. That's a good one. Good catch. Good catch.
Of the meal.
Yep.
As a child.
That's nervous system to get to go outside and play. I still have to work on that one.
Wolf it down so that you can get to the dessert.
Yep.
And the funny thing was, I remember afterwards what she said was her husband was eating, after she did the session, it was a week later, and her husband's like, I finished my meal and you're not even halfway through yours.
Yeah.
And it was like, she was always like, boom, done, and so anyway, not only that, but she said, I go in the fridge and I don't even look at the chocolate. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care. But that was a weird one that Liz brought up about that stuffing, is something that I'd never considered about how many of us in childhood probably have that. It's the go out and play.
I have to still work on that one.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and our nervous system goes to a certain level to get what we want, right? So I'm like, okay. And like chocolate for me, I can go through phases with chocolate, and what I share too with physically, magnesium, or low on magnesium, which is one of the first minerals that gets depleted when you're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So you're in fight or flight, and then you want chocolate, which you're actually depleted from magnesium, and that's actually going to help with the fix too. But what you all did was put her in neutral with her nervous system, so she doesn't have to get up here anymore to get to what she needs, to the depletion to get filled.
Well, that's really curious. Let me ask this question real quick, though, because our focus is not nutrition. Our focus is the nervous system.
Yeah.
So, somebody might consider like pica, where you overeat a certain kind of a food to get that mineral. So magnesium might be the thing with chocolate.
Totally.
Or a serotonin dopamine hit.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
So what we know when we follow people up is their nervous system calms and other things in their life change too. But what about the nutrient they were getting from that food? Oh, by the way, she was tested and she was allergic.
Yeah. Yep. That's a whole nother. So she was having a, cytokine inflammatory response to eat something that you're allergic to. That's like the same thing, getting the inflammation high to get what you need, which isn't always what's best for you. Yeah. Flare up. I call them like inflammation flare ups. Yeah.
So in your opinion, do you think likely what would happen is the body would naturally find another source of that food that's not inflammatory?
Correct. Yeah. Or you don't have to be so depleted from magnesium too. So her stress levels aren't going through the roof. So she's not as depleted. So she's absorbing it better from her food. So if you're up here in fight or flight, you're not absorbing. So most people aren't.
What we discovered through testing, we use the BioWell system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that after a session like this, the voltage in the body jumps.
Yeah.
And the body goes into a kind of stasis, a harmony.
Yep.
Neurologically, physiologically, emotionally, all of that. So it would appear that the inflammation, the fight or flight, all of those chemicals, cortisol, would be really diminished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. So then if that's diminished, your small intestine and your stomach will have better acid to break down the food, and your small intestine will be able to absorb it better. But if you're in crisis mode, those two mechanisms aren't working well. So everyone's trying to fix it with food when it's all nervous system.
Well, it's so true. When you're in fight or flight, we know that the body reroutes energy to run like hell.
Yep.
Get bigger,
away from your digestion.
Get smaller.
Everything away from,
hide, fight, not digestion, not frontal lobe thinking, not healing. Anyway, sorry, Bill, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Oh, gosh, I would just thank you, Liz. I was just, thank you. You actually answered it, which I'm just fascinated about the magnesium chocolate link there. That was brilliant. A side comment, Liz Larson really helped me a lot with my gut. I like yourself, antibiotics all my life, and lots of injuries and illnesses and what have you. So I had lots of reasons to be on, but I had gut problems since I could remember. Earliest in my life, and it's just got worse and worse and worse, and to the point a few years ago where it had reached kind of critical, where I couldn't eat hardly literally anything, like a fruit bowl, and that was it. And anyway, Liz, I had done some other things with Ayurvedic and stuff, but Liz turned me on to, I took probiotics and everything, and that didn't help. What did help was these kefir grains, kefir grains. And anyway, I've been doing it for, I don't know, maybe a month or so now, maybe. And anyway, I'm having some really good results.
Good. Great.
But why? My question to you is, why? Why? Because I did all the probiotics. I took probiotics till the cows came home, and to the point where my belly got hard. All kinds of different things. But anyway,
I don't recommend probiotics for everybody. I recommend enzymes, which are totally different. Enzymes and probiotics are totally two different things. I personally don't take probiotics from a pill. I eat probiotic food. So the kefir is like more gelatinous, and your lining of your digestive tract has more has a, thicker. So what she's helping you with, that kefir, and you were in acceptance mode to try something new. So you weren't in like, oh, this isn't going to work again. Like if you do that, guess what? It's not going to work again. But you were in acceptance mode, and you're like, oh, so it just feels like it's a win-win. And I'm not the biggest fan of probiotics. I don't recommend one over the counter for people. I want them to do tons of other things first and then add that in, because our body makes our own microbiome, makes our own bacteria. So if you're throwing in extra bacteria, your body might go at war with each other because you're forcing it extra bacteria when it's maybe not ready.
So I just want to clarify for anybody who might be listening to this, we're not talking about kefir from the grocery store. That's a lot of sugar.
Great. Yeah.
And a few straight. This is getting the ancient kefir grains. They originated in Turkey or Russia. They actually, there was a kidnapping and a war over kefir, because the kefir grains, because it helped them preserve their food, their milk, but it also kept them super hardy. And what it does over time is it helps, it's one of those things that can really help break down toxicity in the gut. It can break down chemicals. There's a great book by Donna Schwank about it. Yeah. And then it slowly converts your bacteria, kind of killing off that bad bacteria and balancing out the good in a super gentle way. And Bill's had some good results in a month, but it's easily a 6-month thing. Yeah. But it's not
therapeutic.
It's not really a supplement. It's one of those things that in other countries, it's a staple. It's their food.
Correct.
It's what they do. And so
we're the only culture without a fermented food as our staple, like kimchi or yogurts or what this kefir, like it's just normal to have that be in your part of your daily diet. And we're like, our fermented is ketchup. That's right. That's the closest one we got.
What that made me think of as Bill was talking is about this war that we're talking about in the body and the inflammation that's caused by it. We eat so much crap. We even inadvertently, even if you're trying to eat organic or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in American food that we don't want to eat, but we get. And it made me think that, our gut is so inflamed. It's at war a little bit with all of this stuff. And we know there's the gut-brain connection, the vagus nerve, but that's something like a kefir that assists, supports, calms that inflammation, and stops the war a little bit, quells it, starts to reverse direction, maybe.
I agree. I think that's why intermittent fasting took off so well, that people started to feel like a respite from that war. But then I get worried that we're still in control and we're not listening to like, hey, I'm kind of hungry right now. Like, but nope, I can't eat. So that's again another extreme. However, there is a time or day that you're like, ooh, I'm just going to try this. Like even this morning, I was like, oh, I'm going to let my stomach catch up. I'm like, it feels behind. So we can wake up as a human and go, ooh, I'm a little bit in an inflammatory response today. What do I need? Instead of going into autopilot, like, oh, I better get my protein in. My body's like, oh, give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Like we don't listen to the pause. So I think that's why intermittent fasting took off, is exactly what the reason you said, to give the gut a respite. And that's how it healed a little. But again, over time, I see that it doesn't do great with a lot of my clients. So again, all or none.
You know what that made me think of? There was a period when all of a sudden the government started to tell us how to eat.
Yes.
I was thinking about like my grandmother. My grandmother was an amazing cook. Her mother was the worst for an Italian woman. It was the worst. But they ate what they ate. Here's what you do. This is how we eat. And then all of a sudden, what was it? Around the 1950s, I think, they started to tell us, oh, you need to eat this.
That's with this.
Yes. And you need to eat that.
Yep.
And you're going to be healthy. Right. And guess what? We're going to start subsidizing that thing that you need to eat more of.
Yep.
And so now it's gotten so twisted that if we hear on the news, just eat meat or just eat fruit. And I understand all the reasons not to eat bread. I know our bread it can be very toxic, but bread's been literally, in the Bible, it says the staff of life.
Right? Yeah. Sourdough.
It's what people used forever to live. Yeah. And now it's the enemy.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like they put all the ideas that everyone just knew how to eat for all these years, like cows know to eat grass, and put it in a blender. And then threw it back on us.
Yeah. What do you think about this too? I'll be working with clients and I'll feel that their nervous system is ready to go to this acceptance mode, or what do you all call it? Neutral. I love that. Neutral acceptance mode. Like the chips don't own me and I don't own the chips. Like I'm just neutral now. I'll see my clients get there and then run like that. That's almost that fear of like me, my rebel a little bit about the cookie. Like I'm almost scared to let my nervous system trust myself, because then I'm, not listening to the news and listening to what everyone else is eating, and I'm away from the pack or something. So I actually just had a client that I just thought of as you were talking to, that she was ready to go, like ready to have a new nervous system, like a new cloak. But then she was like, nope, I can't. This isn't going to work. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So we know that when a person's ready to have that deleted is when it happens.
Okay.
I mean, you really do have to be in a place of, okay, I'm willing.
Got it.
However, what happens with what we do, we're literally in conversation with the nervous system between the brain and the body on the power lines.
Okay.
So as the person is enjoying, the way our system works is every part of their nervous system gets a look at it. So your left brain has a different opinion from your right brain.
Totally. Yep.
And the part of your physical body that handles emotion and physicality, kinesthetic, can't think, has a different opinion than your logical mind and neutrality. And then there's a part of your visual reference, part of your body, ideas and inspiration that has even another idea. So our work, it takes about 20 minutes, this craving set, moves them through letting their body, their system see all the perspectives.
Ooh, cool. Okay.
And then it chooses again. Well, what happens is the limbic system gets a look at, oh my God, that's not a threat.
Yeah.
That's a popsicle.
Yeah.
That's not a threat. That's a salt and pepper chip,
Right.
And what happens in the physiology is it just gets to neutral.
Okay.
We know when there's no automated response, no physical response, the brain actually forgets. You get amnesia.
Yeah.
You will forget.
If
I didn't talk about this all the time, I would forget why I'm not interested in chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. You just literally, the brain does not give a crap about something that there's not a physical driver for.
Got it.
So after the session, people never run. They just don't have an interest one way or another. It's pure neutrality. So our gal with the chocolate, like when she told that story, it's really recent. I thought, oh my God, your whole fridge is full of it. It was morning to night, her constant focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gone. Like you would imagine that would feel really empty. But she said it didn't. She said now she has interest in other foods.
Yeah, true. Yep, I agree with that.
She actually can taste other foods.
Right.
She can sit at a meal and have a conversation with her spouse. There's a lot
more presence instead of chocolate, like taking up so much of your energy field. Okay.
A lot more space in her whole system, not just her brain.
Yeah.
For everything else on the planet, instead of just this one lane.
Hyper vigilant.
The nervous system kept going for it, even though it's funny because even though she was allergic to it, it was causing inflammation.
Yeah.
Her body still found that calmed the threat somehow.
Calmed the threat. Yep. Got it.
Now there's none of that anymore. It's not good, bad, or ugly. It's just a thing that exists on the planet along with me.
Well, I can't wait to learn more and send maybe a couple clients your way too.
You're just neutral. You just don't care anymore about it one way or another. And so the nervous system just stops a threat assessment. That's what it's about. It's about letting the whole system take a look at what was previously being held by one part of the system that was really handling it badly.
Great. Yep. Gorgeous.
It's something that you can do for your clients.
That's what I'm feeling. That's what I was totally feeling. I'm doing my stuff, but like right then I saw my client do it, and she had a heap of things happen in that moment too. But I would love to learn more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, not to derail, but just question. See if any of this rings true or not. I had like my hands falling asleep at night, type thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, because it seems like a strange correlation, but recently I just kind of noticed in the past week or so, it's like they're not falling asleep. And I've been eating the kefir grains. And why would that be? Am I just who knows? I mean, it's not enough time to tell, but is there a reason why that would be happening?
Well, what makes me think is that this is your nervous system, and now your gut is now healing your nervous system. It's not getting
blood. It's not getting blood to the
circulation.
Circulation. It's a circulation thing.
And nervous system, because everything's nervous system, because the nervous system feeds into our blood, right? And our heart. So I got that your gut is healing. So now the nerves and the circulation has more flow.
Oh,
yeah. Like your circuits are open.
Right. And your body has to send all the blood and the oxygen to the part that's the most on.
They're all connected. Yeah.
It would have been his gut probably before it.
Gut's relaxed. Yeah.
So now there's maybe energy, related. Right?
100% related. 100% related. Yeah.
I mean, I think the easiest answer is less inflammation.
Yeah.
Right.
That one too. Yep. That one too.
But I think the ability for the body to reroute that energy, how it makes sense. Yeah. Really good. You also have a book, a recipe book?
Yes. called Meals and Feels on Amazon. Yeah, it's really great. It actually has my program in it at the beginning too. It has the different 4 different meal types in there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, audience, reach out to Heather. Find out more about this for yourself. You can find out more about our craving set at cognomovement.com. But find out how to start shifting your body into a more neutral state, a state that feels good to you, not like a push, and how to stop being at war with your body. Everybody, but till we see you again next week, please be safe and be well. And Heather will be talking again really soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill and Liz.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.